Welcome back. My name is Mindy, and today I want to talk about ENFPs and Introverted Sensing SI. Um, I wanted two things that I want to touch in this video. So it's about how how the SI for the ENFP is like a struggle, and the second one is kind of how can we start working and overcoming that struggle with SI. And that's based on my personal experience, my personal opinion. So just mind that it's going to be everything based on things that I have gone through. And you can always leave your comments, and please subscribe if you like my content. Okay, so let's go with SI. I call it the blind spot, and I think many other people also call it that way because, okay, yeah, literally it's our last function from our stack of functions. So if you do the maths, it should be the less developed, right? It seems to manifest though when we are under stress, and that makes us ENFPs, for instance, under stress, like very controlling, and we want to control our environments, we want to control ourselves, we want to control the outcomes, we want to control people, we want things to be made or done the way we want, and that's not very helpful, also not very friendly for the people in our lives. But also SI is what we lack or what we don't actually apply when we are working on a project and we don't finish it. And I would say like this is just the nature, like if we just let ourselves be drowned by our nature, then we probably would not finish many things because of our extroverted intuition, introverted feeling. I think those two make up for us to really through our FI like get hooked with the feelings we're having for something, and then we say like I really like I don't know, I really like astronomy, I really like this, I'm going to start this course, I'm going to start that other one. So because it is in line with us, like we're very passionate people, and then we out through our NE we will brainstorm, and we will decide to kind of actually just go and do it through our TE. TE is also not very developed for us, so we can be very kind of impulsive in many ways. So we could start this course, start that course, start a project, start the other project, and then at some point we don't have the time or the energy to like do follow up with all of them. We do that also with friendships and all of that. So we don't have the time, the energy, and we have to prioritize. And then at some point, the ENFP will just drop them all because he's like, oh yeah, but I can't do this, I can't do that. And we go in this spiral of self-criticism or criticism and perfectionism that we want to, like we aim, like that's why we're like, we aim to be like, to do things in a perfect way. So we will get drawn into that spiral, and in the end, we would not finish things. So I've experienced that myself a lot. Like by now, I think I am managing that better. I've started a couple of projects that I'm working on and that I still haven't dropped in a couple of years. Although there is the moment in which whenever I felt like I'm going to drop it because nothing is happening here and I'm just going to leave it there. But after a while, because I know that this SI, how it works, I know that sometimes I just need to leave it as it is and pick it up a week or two or a month or two or sometime later, and my perception might change because I'm not feeling the stress probably, and then I'm like, oh, I can actually continue. So that's how the SI plays a role for us. So if we don't have it developed, we might start things and drop them. And secondly, we also are overly critical with the people in our lives, with how things should be done at home, like why you didn't take off your shoes at the entrance, or please pick up that, and I see a grain of rice here on the table, you didn't clean it, or things of that nature. I think we also do that unconsciously when we're under stress, not because like we're doing any project with that person or whatever, let's say at home, but because I think this is my conclusion of this, is because we want to have control. We want to actually we have the NE, and so we're brainstorming and we're diving in ideas, and although we like it, we sometimes hate it because we wished we would be more organized. We wished we would be like we could focus more on one. Personally, I used to hate the idea, or actually I think I'm still kind of like struggling with that lack of acceptance towards that nature of mine, in which I, for instance, I'm a person who is like, as I said, full of ideas, and I want to start things, and I am a great brainstormer. If people would pay me for just thinking and brainstorming, like I would be a millionaire right now. And I kind of used to really dislike and kind of try to deny the fact that that's just who I am. And I think I can just work my way to try to improve or to shape it. But I think it's great. Now I think like, oh, it's great that I'm kind of like full of ideas. So NE is in charge, basically is in charge. And because it's in charge, and we tend to put our hearts in whatever we do through our FI, we really go for things that are very true to ourselves, and like we feel it in our stomach, in our bodies. This is the thing that I want to do because it's in line with who I am, it's in line with my core values. And then we have maybe not one idea of how to apply or how to make this thing come into life, like how to, let's say you have this feeling that you would like to serve people, like to help the world to be a better place, and then you come up with 10 ideas, not with one, with 10. It's like we are kind of bombarded. I hate myself. We're bombarded with ideas, and so it feels like because of that being our nature, we sometimes get tired of that. I think it's also unconsciously or whatever. And then we want to control our environment, and we want to try to control like things. Like imagine like one drop of something is on the table and you make a big deal out of it because like how can that be? Like, and it's like in that sense it's like we behave like sensors basically. But as I said, it's like we need to be under stress in order to behave that way. And so yeah, that's like the negative side of SI. So those are the two ways how I see the SI playing a role. Maybe there is more, but this is the two that I wanted to talk about. And how to improve that? Well, I think first of all, like we have to be aware of our blind spots. I think as long as we know that it is hard for us to finish a project, that it's hard, that when we're under stress we're going to be overly critical with ourselves and with others, like that's a first step. Trying to remember that, I think that has helped me a lot. But also one trick I have for, let's say, purely when I want to start a project, and how, first of all, how to pick one project in between of all of this like waterfall of ideas I have. I think first of all, I would like test, or I would leave the idea resting in my head for a while, or the ideas, and then at some point I notice that I have to make a decision. So I pick one, right? And so I pick one. I guess that should be like the moment that we start using TE and SI. And then I tell myself, for me to not feel like that my freedom is being blocked, because we can feel that if I pick one project I am like cutting off my freedom and my wings and I can't fly and all of those things. But then I have to remind myself that it is probably temporarily, that I don't know, like maybe I will keep doing this for long, but maybe not, and I can always change my path. But whenever I'm starting, I'm gonna put my heart in it, and I'm going to continue with it, and I'm going to give myself a time. So for instance, I started this photography project 2 years ago, actually 2.5 years ago. And it started in a very kind of organic way. But at some point I realized that I wanted to do that, and I wanted to like do it as a job as well. But yeah, you have a lot of like, there's uncertainty for like, yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work, whatever. But then I told myself, like I need to do this for at least 1 year before I am going to quit. And I'm gonna do it all, and I'm gonna give my best in this 1 year, and I'm gonna make sure that I follow my instincts, and that I'm also creative in the way that I'm going to try to make this work, But I need to do it. And so I put myself to do this. And it's easy to say like, oh no, yeah, I should better stop here and go and do another thing. Like that's our nature, and we have to be aware that that's our nature. And so knowing that that's my nature, I would still tell myself, like, I compromise to doing this 1 year, and things take time. And that's one other thing that ENFPs need to not only know, but embrace and keep in mind, like forever. We would like for things to be done fast and quick and move from one thing to the other, but we need to really educate ourselves with this thing. Things take time. So if we want for something to work out, I guess you cannot just say like, oh yeah, I am going to try for a month or two and then leave it. And I only started seeing results actually of this photography work that I was doing only a year after. Only a year after I had made, like, I had kind of a portfolio of networking contacts. I had hosted 2 exhibitions. But I'd really put a lot of work. And after the first year, I started only then, being paid for what I was doing. And it was not even during the first 2 months, 3 months. It was like 1 year and a half later. And I guess like these are the kind of things that I am learning, or that I've learned because I've gone through the process, and because I stayed. And that's something that I know I haven't done before. And well, when you learn that, then you guess like I can apply this to other things in my life as well. Still, there is that nature of wanting to do many things, or wanting to do different things. For instance, right now I am writing a book, and it has nothing to do with the subjects or the things of the photography that I was doing. But I've decided to put time aside to say like, now I am going to write this book. I am going to do that. And that when that happens, well, there are other factors that also played a role here. But I knew that I could put the photography for now aside, and that I can take on these other projects. I think having the dedication, it's not easy for us. But as soon as you manage to have the dedication and to follow through one goal that you set for yourself, then the next time it becomes kind of easier, although it's not easy. It's not simple, but it's like, I think it's like trial and error, and keep trying, and one day, I guess, you will succeed. That's for finishing projects. That's like my take on SI. So yeah, someone said in a comment before in one of my other videos that until ENFPs do not learn how to use SI, we would never be able to finish a project. And I guess that's true. But another thing that I want to mention is that, for instance, it's hard. Like, it is hard. I can say like, yeah, this is the process, whatever. But it's not only for finishing for setting up a goal for a project, or to say like, I am going to finish this project. Also, every time we sit down with ourselves to work on that project, whatever activity you're doing, if you don't sit down, if you go and do the volunteer work, whatever, I think we are going to be faced again with the SI, I think it's TE and SI loop, negative loop. For instance, for me, now that I'm writing the book, there is again this pattern of perfectionism, that I want to have it all layouts, that I want to have the whole content of the book before I start. I would like to, if you ask me, I would like for me to know from the day one what each chapter is going to be about and what is going to do every character. And so I would like to just sit down and basically write without having to think. But then I have to also remember myself. I know that that's like my SI trying to take control, take over, and that I am an extroverted intuitive, and that's my actually strength. So it's okay if we need some extra time to think about things, or if we need to work, if we do creative work, because I do creative work. So if we have to spend some time at kind of nailing thoughts or ideas and all of that, we don't need to know it all beforehand in order to start. We can actually start, and that is how we end up having something finished. I don't know if that was a good explanation. But yeah, I hope this was of help for other ENFPs. Again, my name is Mindy. Subscribe if you like my content, and give me a thumbs up, and see you next time.